Is yours live too? Hey.
There's a lot going on. Welcome to this episode of Cocktails and Condos. Today, we are now streaming from 2 platforms. We got Facebook and Instagram. So right now we're streaming from, what's your Instagram thing?
Sophie. So_KI.
So_KI.
So if you guys want to get on that Instagram platform, so_KI.
Yes. I'm sorry, y'all. Today is going to be a fucking day. Today's going to be a day.
Tonight is going to be an episode.
I started drinking at like
Cheers.
2. So
Oh,
we're fine.
and they pick on me about my
I
alcohol.
appreciate you. I appreciate y'all. Listen,
It's Wednesday. It's ladies' night.
It's Wednesday. It's spring break for some.
Yes.
It's a lot going on this week. So, are you live? I don't know.
Are you
It
live?
say live.
Hold on.
It say live.
Technical difficulty.
They say live.
You
Black
Are
and
you
show,
live
Black and
or
show in
wait,
America.
Are you live or are you actually?
Lord have mercy.
No, you're recording.
Yeah, you're recording.
I don't know how to do that. Get out of there.
Girl, just log out.
If I say,
I got it.
okay, come on. Get out of there.
You keep going.
Okay, Black and Show in America, welcome. So today we have a guest. We've got Marlon. Marlon, tell the people a little bit about you.
Yeah, let's see here. Where to start? Well, I used to be an athlete, played football and stuff in high school and in college. Currently, right now, I work in real estate,
Hate you.
part-time computer programmer, and kind of like a life coach now. So I'm kind of working on that. So that's me.
Okay.
So,
All right, we got a whole stampede outside.
Again,
Yeah.
y'all know we got the children running up and down the hall. Hey. Okay, so Marlon, so you know today's conversation is about She Got Kids.
Yeah.
So from your perspective, we invited you on for a specific reason. I'm not gonna say it. But why do you feel like we brought you in today?
Well, more than likely because I got some experience dating women that got children. And the thing with me, I'm a single man with no kids.
We live now.
But I noticed that not only in ATL, but in this time frame now, millennials, you're gonna typically meet women that have children.
Okay, how old are you?
I'm 34.
Okay.
So most of the women I typically date, a little younger, a little older, the same age as me, already have kids. So that's kind of, the market that we have.
Okay, so what's your experience been? Just like brief summary.
Yeah, no problem. For the most part, good. I think for the most part with a man is that if he loves that woman, he's gonna love those kids too. And I haven't had any problems with children too much, only because, I think I just kind of pretty good with conflict management. I
Okay.
love kids. I used to always babysit my little cousins growing up, so it's like 7 of them. So it was always like just interacting with them, getting to know them. And I think with kids, it's almost like they're like your biggest teachers, because they're unguarded and they don't have any issues, I guess, as people do. As we get a little older, sometimes we get a little jaded. I think with kids, it's just they real and just love them.
Okay. So, like we said, topic tonight, She Got Kids, which really is like an ode to Life Jennings, because I love Life Jennings, and I think I do. We talked to. Listen, I love Life Jennings.
Okay.
But he had a song that was called "She Got Kids," and it made so much sense. And I think that song resonated with me because at the time I was a young parent. I mean, as we all know, like I had my son at 16, and there's been so many moments in life that I was apprehensive about dating people because I had a kid. Right? So there's people, you never know how people are going to treat your children. You just don't know. They got 2 more times.
I promise y'all I'm about to take this belt off. If y'all can't hear these kids running up and down, I'm about to take my belt off and smack one on.
Only child abuse in its own video, family.
Listen.
If all y'all hear is pat, pat,
Don't even, but either way, it's like
Turn your head, family. Just turn your head.
But that resonated with me because I was such a young woman and I was trying to figure it out, and I didn't have a frame of reference. I didn't have any perspective about.
You got to slide on me where you slide.
I got to talk on y'all. Don't judge me. Don't judge
Go
me.
on, girl.
I'm gonna smack one of these little children, y'all.
Sorry, family. We
Look,
don't
It's fine.
Stay
It's
black.
fine. But
Black
I
is
didn't
showing
have
America.
Black is showing America.
Dang.
But I didn't have any perspective of what that looked like to be a person, to be a young woman, and to date a man who had children or didn't have children with me being a young mother. Because to me, in my head, I'm like, go ahead, mama.
A little bilingual love.
The bilingual love.
That's it work.
They speak flip flop. I don't understand it, but they do. Sometimes.
Most Hispanic mamas got the flip
They
flop.
speak chunka. Hi, family. Don't judge me. Don't judge me.
Blackest show in America.
Mhm.
Yes.
Wait a minute.
No, that ain't about you, girl. But okay, so again, like try to focus back in after the children have settled down. But I didn't know how to bring men into my life, right?
Mhm.
With me being a mother and with me in my own thought of like, I would rather me not date. I would rather me not have anybody in my life than to have somebody temporary to where my son then has to feel the consequences of
That person.
my actions.
In and out, right.
Right. So once he became a certain age, and I would say he was about 7 or 8 years old, once I made that decision to say, hey, I'm not bringing anybody else in. If it hasn't happened by this point in his life, I just don't want him to get into that frame of mind of like, so-and-so is here this day and he gone next week. And then what does that look like?
I mean, I think, I'm gonna say for younger kids,
Mm-hmm.
that can be detrimental. That can be something that is kind of burned into their heads that this is normal, and then they evolve into that same character, you know what I'm saying? The door is revolving. This person doesn't stay long, you know what I'm saying? And then that cycle just keeps going.
Right.
And I think today's generation, they see nothing wrong with that.
What do you mean?
What I mean by that is today's generation,
So like, what age group would you say?
I would say 30 and under,
Okay.
30 and below, don't see it in that manner because they just see it as getting some ass. We just gonna keep it real. Ain't nothing kept from this table, okay? It's called, look, they call them uncles, they call them aunt. Oh, this is your uncle.
Uh-huh.
Uncle staying the night. Uncle staying the weekend. And that's what they think that is shielding that child, but these kids are smart.
Right.
Oh, Uncle Tony was here,
Sleeping in your room.
right, last week. Now we got Uncle Joey in a few more weeks, you know what I'm saying? And it's like they get this rotation and it's just like, ain't no uncle staying in my mama room all damn night.
Right.
And, they get smart to this.
Yeah.
So this newer generation they don't see the concept of keeping, respect of the household. I don't see this newer generation keeping respect of the household.
Okay.
So.
All right. So the three of us have children. Have you ever experienced that whole situation of where you're dating somebody that has kids, or you have kids and they didn't?
I think I did something similar to yours. I opted out after she was 8.
Okay.
My ex-husband is not her dad, but he has definitely been a fixture in her life, regardless if him and I were together or not. Between him and my dad, she always had a solid, this is my go-to if anything happens. So I just didn't bring anybody else around her. It was
Okay.
just my choice, because I didn't want to have to go through the explanation of this is such and such, and he might be here tomorrow, he might be here next week, he might be here next month. When you have somebody that you can pick up the phone, regardless of how we see each other, if a hair on my child's head was misplaced, he was going to come ask me about it, and then whatever the discrepancy was, it wasn't going to be that way very long. And then if it got too far left, she's calling New York City, and then it's really going to be in for it.
Okay.
So as long as she had those bodies in place, I never really felt like it was anything she was going to miss.
So when y'all separated, how did that affect her life?
Again, even though we weren't together, he was still a fixture. He was still calling. He was still,
Okay.
what he got on? What did you do today at school? What did you eat? What did your mother do today? Did she
So he
cook
stayed
you?
involved.
Yes, like it wasn't because he doesn't have any kids. He still doesn't have any kids to this day. So, and my child is 20.
Okay.
And it's still, what did your mother say? That's usually the first thing out of his mouth. What did your mother say? Because he doesn't want to go against the grain.
Mm-hmm.
But if it's something he doesn't agree with, he'll wait till she gets off the phone, and then he'll get on the phone with me. And then we go through it. But it's never been okay for me to argue in front of my child. It's never been okay. Because when she sees me get mad, everybody vacates.
Okay.
It's just not a good situation.
So, from a man's perspective, Marla, I think that, just personally knowing you, I think that you're probably the most recent person to have experienced this just in life, of like dating some, because you yourself don't have children.
Yeah.
But you were involved with a woman who had 2.
Yeah, but even before that, when I was 18, I dated a woman that had 1 kid.
Okay.
And like she's like 16 now, so it's like it's a big jump. But yeah, and other women I kind of briefly dated too. I think the biggest thing is this, and I know Sid mentioned about that situation where you have he uncle. I never actually experienced that, because most of the women I actually dated, we got to know each other off that. Well, no discussion about a long term I got kids or anything like that. And I don't think these women were trying to hide their kids. Obviously they couldn't, but they dated just like women that was looking for love.
Well, what I meant by that is
Right.
is the younger generation to
Mhm.
where
True.
they just doing it all out
Right.
open.
Yeah,
They're
there's no
not trying to
time for
hide
it.
nothing.
True.
Yeah.
And I can't give you no
I
perspective
can't.
about that, because I don't really date 20-year-olds or.
But I do
Really
also have a
be
question.
involved in that.
I have a question about that, because even when I was 20, I had like a 4-year-old. So
Yeah.
it's like, even if they are 20, there are women at 20 that have children, right? But so my question is when you were dating women, did the conversation of kids never come up?
Yeah, it really never came up. It was
Okay.
never no strict like, hey, I got fucking kids, and it was not like that. It just treated me like a normal person would date if they didn't have any children. It was just like, we date, record it, you know what I mean? And they would bring their kids around and introduce. But I
What was
think
the
I mean-
time frame on that? Yeah.
Because that was the first comment.
True. Here's a good question. Time frame on that. It was actually rapidly. At least when I was 18. And her baby was like 7 months. So I mean, I don't know. Maybe
Well, it's
just
different because that child
that's
doesn't.
because they don't know
Yeah,
enough.
that's a
right.
baby,
So that was
baby.
fine. Yeah,
Yeah.
every baby. The other ones, you got a 12-year-old, 8, and the other one was like 3. It wasn't that rapid because I never stayed over at the house, even though we were right down the street from each other.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think it was important to kind of build that relationship with that woman first. You know what I mean?
But what was the first conversation that you had about kids?
We didn't have any kind of discussion.
She just popped them up on you. Was like, boom,
No,
I
it
got
wasn't
good
that.
kids.
It wasn't
Like,
that.
here you go.
I mean,
Hold on. Just by
Just
the way,
pulled up with about
it's
3
like,
kids.
hey,
I'm like,
shit,
oh,
we
these all mine.
vibing.
These all mine.
we vibing,
Yeah.
but I got a 12-year-old, 8, and then a little baby.
Right.
But like, hey,
But
deal
that's
with it,
the
because
thing,
now
though.
you're already like connected. You're already involved.
Yeah.
So do you feel like?
But see, the thing about that woman, though, you also gotta look at her too. Like, was she looking at me initially as like, she wasn't in a relationship mindset. Because when I originally met her, she told me I wasn't looking for a boyfriend. Matter of fact, she approached me off getting some weed from the gas station. So it was more or less.
Minute now?
So it was more or less.
Jesus.
So it was more
That's not
or
what he
less
said,
like,
y'all.
hey, nice to
Y'all are
meet you.
so funny. Y'all be clutching
I'm be
girls.
real.
These two right here.
These two, they be clutching
Everything
girls.
surprises them.
I'm just like, we hang out where we hang out. We
Right.
are
Oh,
already.
it don't surprise me.
She be like, oh Jesus.
Oh,
Well,
Like-
I think I'm not supposed to say
Any other
something.
time y'all tell me, Sid, don't do that.
I don't be saying that.
I ain't got no filter. Fuck it. So, bottom line.
Gotta be real.
No, bottom line.
Right.
So you as a man,
Mhm.
if you're dating a woman, what do you feel is an appropriate time for a woman to say, I want to introduce you to my kids?
All right.
And you're actually dating.
Okay.
Not
is,
fucking,
okay,
dating.
Okay.
Wait a minute, this is a nice blue.
Well, I mean, like,
this is real nice. They did a great
well,
job.
I always date the women I talk to, but we'll just go into that. I say probably within a month, you know what I mean? Like, it's appropriate to say that. Like,
Yeah,
hey,
I have a
I got
problem
But
children.
then, and I think that's
See,
too long.
I think that's, you said
Too long.
I think it's too long to mention that I have children.
Oh, no.
Oh, no.
That's
I said as far as
Oh, an
introduce.
introduction?
Like, hey,
Oh,
it's
yeah,
like-
Now
That's-
that's very
Well,
that's very
I don't
soon
know.
because
I
aren't
can't
you?
say, I can't say that.
I could no.
It depends on the vibe, and I think
Well,
it
that's
depends.
the thing,
I think
though.
it
No,
also too
because there's
depends
an
on how old your
infatuation
children
vibe
are.
and there's a real vibe.
I think it too depends. Like, if I still had a young son, it would probably take me longer to introduce that. But the fact that I now have a grown son who is out here in the world and is like dating and like living life, there's a different kind of understanding that comes with that, right?
True.
To where it's like, oh, okay. So he gets it. Right. He gets it now, to where it was like he knows Mama didn't have men like bouncing in and out the house.
Yeah.
So that's the one thing that he could say about me. Is over the course of his 20 years, he may have met 3 people that I've ever even like dated.
Sure.
Right? But now that he's grown, and it's such a different space, right? Because we even talked about the Kevin Samuels last week, to where he was, that whole conversation was about women, and like once they get older, it's basically like your stock starts to go down and this and that, which I do. Just, from my mind, I feel like in society that is true, right? Because it's like, you think about all the celebrity women that as they age, right? Men get called different things. It's like distinguished, silver fox, zaddy with a Z.
Zaddy.
You know what I mean?
Let's
like
talk
a
about
zaddy with a Z. And so the way the society views it is different, right? So at the space that I'm in, at 36, grown son. I thought that flip flop.
That flip flop ain't working. That flip flop ain't working.
They might be different kids.
Somebody mama out in the hallway. That's not a child.
But so to think about it now in the space that I'm in now, and it's like there's not very many men that are in the same space that I'm in, right? Mm-hmm. So I think there's a problem, just in my perspective, of where she'll be back. You have certain experiences like earlier in life, mm-hmm. right? So for me, being a mother at 16 and having this grown child now, people that are my age have like young children. Yeah, they're like 4-year-olds, 5-year-olds.
Yeah.
I mean, you got women in, 35, 36 pregnant and having children.
Right.
So, I don't think a lot of women right now are putting a limit on their age anymore, because you have a lot of women that are wanting to just go ahead and get, their careers in order and mm-hmm. stuff like that before they get married or before they have children. So I don't think there's a problem as far as age-wise of you having a child, but as far as how you conduct yourself.
Okay, what do you mean as far as like conducting yourself?
Okay, so like going back on the question that you asked Angel earlier, mm-hmm. I didn't experience that with young children because I was married to my husband.
Okay.
So
that's the difference between the 3 of us, is y'all were married when you had children?
No,
or you were married?
She was married. I was married to my children's father.
When you got married. Okay.
Yeah, and I was married to my children's father. So it wasn't like I experienced that until, our separation. And then I thought, I want to meet somebody. But even in that token, my children at that time were, 12 and 10. Okay. So it wasn't like I had young children, but I had old enough children that still understood what the hell was going on. You know what I'm saying? So I didn't bring strangers around my home, period. If I dated somebody, I dated you long enough to see if I even wanted to introduce you to my children. If you didn't make the cut, then we were done completely.
So I feel that kids have like a sixth sense about things.
They do. My he's now 17, but my son, several years ago, and I'm not gonna lie, he literally said, after me and my ex broke up at one point, he said, so do I add him to the clown list?
Oh, that's what you call these guys.
When your son tells you this,
he took that some sort of way.
Well, I'm not gonna say that because I did kind of take it some kind of way. Because just because the relationship between that man and that woman ends, you should not bring that on that kid.
No.
That's right.
No.
I'm not saying you did that.
No, that's what I'm saying. I'm explaining.
I've seen stuff like that before.
And that's what we're saying, is that your children see a lot without you involving them. Mm-hmm. Number one, if I'm in a relationship, what goes on in my relationship does not. It's not put onto my. It doesn't bleed onto my children. Right. You know what I'm saying? Right. Hell, the kids just be like, "Well, dang, I don't see him no more."
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Right. So do you have that conversation though after you end a relationship with somebody where the kids were involved? Do you have that conversation, or you just let them think whatever they're gonna think and let that shit phase out into the wind?
The last 2 relationships I did, because they were long relationships.
Okay.
They were long relationships to where they were involved with the kids, going on trips, not trips, but going to events and doing stuff together. So that way the kids knew, okay, he better not come to this door knocking on the door. Y'all better not let him in. So I have to explain, this person, me and this person.
You have to explain to your children, like, this crazy motherfucker might show up at my
I didn't
house.
say it like that. I didn't say it like that.
If he's a frequent,
If he was a
person.
frequent visitor,
Oh, okay, I see what you mean.
he
And
was
they
a
might
frequent
go,
visitor.
they don't
and-
know that shit's
Yeah,
going on.
they
Right.
They might
If he was a
open the door.
frequent
Okay.
visitor, even times when I wasn't home, he would go check on them or whatever.
Okay.
He's not to be here.
Okay.
You don't open the door for him.
So how did that conversation go? Like, how did you?
Literally, my son said, so I add him to the clowns list
But how did he even know that y'all broke up?
because he was no longer coming around.
Okay. Did he? So he asked you. It was
Yes.
like, hey, what happened with this?
Yes.
Like, y'all still talk?
I did not, like I said, I don't involve my kids in my relationship. So when my son was like, Mom, what's up with Mr. So-and-so?
Okay.
Come on in. Close door. Sit down. We'll have a conversation.
He was in the trunk of my car, but since he wasn't there.
I
Okay. Hold on.
Y'all know she high
We
body.
gotta intervene.
She high body, y'all. But I mean,
We gotta intervene with her in this trunk.
I don't
Yeah,
just
'cause-
openly.
This is an alleged trunk. Again, we do not.
It's not
condone
alleged.
violence.
It's not alleged.
We don't condone
It ain't
violence
alleged.
on
I
this
didn't
show.
say if he was
We-
breathing or
We
Oh.
don't condone throwing people in trunks. I'm just saying that for regulation purposes. You know, whatever. The opinions of the show do not reflect individual opinions of people out
Put your
there.
hand on red, put your foot on blue, and I say something about the trunk and I'm in trouble.
It's a nice wall. Remember that?
No.
Anyways,
Family, they're picking on me.
Well,
today.
let's talk about it. I mean, all right. So I think that we jumped into this conversation at a
Head first.
head first in
For sure.
regards to where we are in our lives now, right?
right.
Think about yourself. Like your parents were married.
Mm-hmm.
Your parents were married for a while, and then your mom. Did your mom date again?
No.
Were you around your dad once he got remarried? He got remarried, right?
Yeah. So my parents waited till we were all grown to then get married.
Okay.
Again.
Even being grown now, that
Even
still
though-
takes effect.
Yeah.
My mom died, and it took it. I felt some type of way when that man remarried.
Yeah, so my situation is probably a little bit different, at least knowingly that my dad had like a whole nother family,
Oh,
right?
Rolling
So
Stone.
yeah, but you know he old, so that was like the time that was the time that they grew up in.
Yeah.
That was the time period.
He
To
wore
where
them
it's
penny
like,
loafers.
They got families on different sides of the
Of the
town.
country.
Family on family
You know
on
what I mean?
family.
So and then he's like a military man. He like
Yeah.
light skinned and pretty and shit.
Your mama
So
should've
he
drove the
had.
truck.
Girl, but then my mom is such
So
a sweet
sweet
lady.
and-
She is. My mom is the sweetest lady of all
Somebody has
time.
to be.
But so I think my perspective of it is very different because when I found out that my dad had a whole nother family, right? And then not to mention had a whole nother family where there were children that I can't tell you to this day if they're his or not. I'll find out when he passes, right? When we don't get to ride in the family limo. Okay? So I don't know. Listen.
You
You
already
gotta
know how that
have
shit
you gotta
goes.
have a DNA test to get in the family limo.
Well,
But
you know how that
my,
shit goes.
my parents are no longer married, right? He is now
Yeah.
married to somebody else
So yeah.
who has different children. To where
Were they married in Georgia?
no.
Oh, we all
But
know.
I mean the
Because
shit
only the first wife counts. Get that together.
but I mean legally that shit
Only
don't
the
matter.
first one counts.
You get all the info.
But I'm saying,
Yeah,
but
regardless,
legally none of that matters. So when after all these years of life, right, of my growing up at 36, looking back now to where it's like,
Well, if your mama beat her to the Social Security office, she don't get shit. So. Only the first one counts.
As soon as that flatline, she better be at that office.
Well, listen.
okay.
I know my mom was a. Go ahead.
My
finish.
guys don't want to get
So
married.
again, like the I guess the point that I'm making is where it's like this situation was going on for so many years to where they had a different understanding because all of her children knew who we were to the point where they were like calling.
What?
Anytime I would be skipping school, girl, and I was like riding down the road, and I get a call from my dad. It's like, hey, so I heard that my car is somewhere it's not supposed to be. Oh, where are you? Years later, they're like,
snitching.
girl, they was telling on us. And I was like, I don't even know who they are. And it's like, it blows my mind, right? Like, even to this day, in my 30s, I'm like, so y'all gonna sit and tell stories about this? Like, I'm supposed to just all of a sudden be like, oh, kiki, because I'm grown. No.
Nah, y'all was a whole snitch, bitch.
So that's what I'm saying. Like, when it comes to having children involved, right? I think that it's such a delicate thing.
It is.
Did
It
you
is.
ever put a name to a face with these other people?
Yeah, now that we're grown.
So, and y'all still don't know to this day if y'all one kid belongs to one? Because this ain't Sesame Street. Because I don't even know. Because I had a brother show up at my dad's, eulogy.
I'm
He's
just
like, I don't
like,
care, brother.
at this point, I think the best way that I can say this is that one of them has adopted my father's last name, but their father is still very alive and present because he's still. It's a girl. He should have been on Jerry Springer. So I'm not even gonna air all the family
Well,
business.
No,
I know for me in my situation, I don't have kids. And I typically don't date men that have children. I don't get serious with them.
Now,
But
why?
I'll go into that.
Okay.
But also, back watching my mom date, my mother, I mean, when I remember 5 or 6 years old, she had one boyfriend. He lived with us for a period of time. And I remember them not being together anymore, and he no longer lived with us. That was that. There was never a discussion.
Mm-hmm.
We have Christmas pictures with him, on December 3rd. I don't know where this man is right now, as we speak. The next time my mom decided to date, she dated over the summer. We would always go away for the summer. And then next thing you know, it was like, oh, I'm getting married. And we were like, you getting married? Like, she was like, I got something to tell y'all when y'all come home. And we get married.
Mm-hmm.
And that was the thing. We had never met him. Anything. So
How old were you then?
for that, I was 8 or 9.
Okay.
I was 8 or 9, and you brought this man around. I mean, and he wasn't a good person. So that affected me in the way that I try not to date men that have children, and not be because you don't know what the situation is with their child's mother. Now, there are going to be completely different variables, and all situations are not going to be the same. So there are going to be some times where there's going to be a rule breaking where I may date someone that has children, but again, I still don't involve myself in their children's lives.
Right.
I don't even I may ask about the children, how you doing, learn their names, ages, birth dates, this, that, and the third. But unless they invited me in, I won't until I know that we're serious, like
Okay.
in a committed, like we're going to be together.
So have you ever been in that situation where you were dating somebody for an extended period of time that happened to have kids that you were around often?
Nope.
Okay. Because for me, that's a hard situation because I dated a man who had 2 children, and they were probably 2 of the worst humans I've ever met.
Family. This is a
No.
nice table.
Hell.
No, that's for real.
Listen,
No.
everybody's upbringing is totally different, but I know women that purposely teach their children to be
Disrespectful.
malicious
Yeah.
to any other woman that's with them.
No, because a woman doesn't want her children around
Other
That
women.
another woman, so they will tell them you ain't got to do nothing she say. Da, 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 da.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
those are spiteful women, though.
Right.
And again, those are different upbringings. Because I'm sorry, if I'm in a relationship, if I see your children as far as I would treat your children just like I would treat mine, but you can't do the same for me, this is not going to work. This is not going to work. Because you have relationships where you have children, how do you, how do you involve the two when your relationship is getting stronger?
Right.
You have some that was like, I ain't got nothing to do with them kids.
Ooh.
I dated a guy. I know, I dated a guy.
Differently.
Yeah, I dated a guy who literally said, well, they're not my kids, so I'm not really finna get involved. Oh,
Wow.
Deuces. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
Because he had no kids.
Right, but then the
He
flip
wanted
side
a
of
child
that-
with me, but I was like,
But then
Nope.
again,
Yeah.
flip side of that, right? Because we talked about this before about us as mothers,
yes.
about how willing are we to allow people to discipline our children.
Very true.
That's not happening.
No, there's boundaries to
It's
it.
like-
It's boundaries to
But
it.
then,
Like we talked about
like, what's
before.
the win? Because as a woman, you're like, or as this man who's saying like, hey, that ain't my kid. I'm not gonna
But
get
I'm not
involved, and
gonna
we're
be around
offended.
child. I'm not
But
gonna
we're
be around
offended by
child.
that.
But no.
But then when that kid
When
is
this guy
disrespect-
said
man,
he wasn't going to be involved, it's not just as far as disciplinary. He meant he wasn't getting
Period.
involved. Period.
Yeah.
okay,
Yeah,
because
and
to
you
me,
can't do that.
You can't do that. I'm
Okay.
sorry, because if you want to spend time with me, if we getting serious and you're at the house, if I want to sit here and have movie time with my kids and you don't feel as though you need to join in, you want to stay in the room, you can get the hell on.
Yeah.
I don't need it.
That's true. But I feel like in the beginning, though, you know what I'm saying, that man and that woman got to get that connection. Because I feel like for the most part, when you, I'm not going to say screen your partner out, but when you get to know the characteristics of that man and that woman, you can kind of have an idea of how it is maybe with them kids, too. I'm just saying, with a woman that's responsible, maybe got a career going on for herself, structured, you can kind of tell that more than likely that's going to be the same way with that kid. Maybe more discipline in that case, too. Possibly. It may be.
like I know a lot
But-
of like
but I
professional
mean-
people with some
but
raggedy
that's-
kids.
but-
Bad ass, ratchet ass
Yeah,
kids.
but you know, it's like you never know. You know what I mean? So
For
like,
me, I really didn't like date, like I said, because of the situation with the baby mom. Like, I feel like I don't want to have to go to jail over somebody else's kids.
Yeah.
Because
Listen, there's all
the problems with the bitter baby mamas. You know what I'm saying? And you mad because he's moved on with me, and you don't want to respect me, or you don't want him to see his children, and he has every right, and he's doing what he has to do.
Mm-hmm.
Baby, we gonna square up.
Oh shit.
We
But
gonna-
why-
And that's what I'm saying. I don't want to have to do that.
No,
But
I'm
here's the
double
question
side
though,
of
in
it.
those types of situations,
Sometimes you gotta do it.
but no, in those types of situations, why is it not, no, on some real shit, why is it not his responsibility to say,
It
look,
is.
you need to chill out, this my new lady, if
set
you
fucking
can't,
boundaries.
Right.
that's what I'm
It
saying,
is.
set
But we're not
boundaries.
even talking about the setting the boundary about how you treat me. It's
Right.
about her withholding the children. That's the thing
That's true.
that's because if I love you, I love you.
You don't
with
want to be the
everything.
one that keeps
I don't
seeing
want
kids.
you.
Mhm.
I don't want to see you hurting
Yeah,
because you can't see your kids. You know what I'm saying?
true.
So what's,
That
here's the question
spitefulness
though.
It's a
like,
problem for me.
So when you meet this particular guy that got kids and stuff, are we not asking them questions on the first date?
Do you
are
have a
we
crazy
set-
baby mama?
You know what I'm
I mean,
saying?
I'm like, that's
and
not
then
first
I-
date.
That's not
Hey,
first.
okay,
That's
maybe
not
not a
first date
first date.
material.
Okay, you know, maybe a month in or some shit. Or, you know, when do you feel comfortable?
I don't even
Or
know
our
how do you
ladies-
even frame that
How y'all-
question like, yo, baby mama crazy?
Well,
Because
no.
at this point, it really
I-
don't fucking matter.
Right.
It does
I'm sorry.
not matter.
Well,
because
if
I,
you
that's the
say
question
so,
for me. Do you have
But-
some crazy ass baby mama?
And then
Hold
he's
on,
talking
hold
about in the
And that
scenario
sense of
what I'm
the
talking
kid where
about.
she like
Okay.
she don't want
Can I
to
say this before I forget? Because I've
Right.
had a lot of alcohol.
Okay.
Oh, y'all.
You've been drinking since too. You know.
It
It's
was
all
wild.
She's been drinking since
So
two, y'all.
to me, oh shit, I might have already forgot.
Cocktails and condoms.
Cocktails and combos, y'all.
Cheers, family.
Hold on, wait. No, I forgot. Go ahead.
So honestly, the
It's
only
not
the
coming
only
up, 'cause
the
it
only
was
guys that I've
sensitive.
had to have those conversations with haven't been guys that I've revisited relationships with, you
Mhm.
know, and it wasn't like some new person or whatever.
Right.
It was someone that I've already dated. They moved
Right.
on with their life.
True.
They had children, and we decided to date a kid.
Mhm. Okay.
That's when we had a situation.
Right.
And literally, one of the baby mamas was like, "I'm gonna take my children to Jamaica, and you'll never see them again."
Yeah. True.
You know, but I mean, it wasn't. There's nothing I can do about that.
Mhm.
So to refrain
Okay.
from getting crazy, I just don't even deal with it.
I wouldn't.
Right.
I have never had an issue with a mother of any. Okay, so for me, I preferably date men with children.
Mhm.
I just
Equally
recently, like since my son has been grown,
Mhm.
and since I'm just like, because for whatever reason in my universe, it's like the opposite of what everybody else has,
Mhm.
right? Like I always meet the men who have no children.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? Like knowing that I don't particularly want any more or
Right.
knowing whatever. I meet all the men who don't have kids. And it's like, hey, shit, like, we gonna vibe. And I'm like, oh, I don't even want to do that to you in your life.
Yeah.
But okay, so
I don't.
how do you go about? Okay, so you meet a guy,
Mm-hmm.
you vibing with him and everything, and you know you enjoying conversation. It's a, y'all, I wouldn't look.
Let them work out there. The girls are big enough. You don't need to advertise with her.
I'm like, she got the worst camera angles going on.
It's down the bottom. What the hell?
Like,
Oh, yeah, secret
sis, hold on.
So, anyways,
I'm
not even.
That was the worst camera angle of the girls.
I'm like, everybody got that
gotta
camera. I'm like,
We just discard the video, okay? Because I don't
Okay,
have
go
mine
ahead,
on the
go ahead,
tripod.
finish what you were
Anyway,
saying. What you were saying.
I ain't forgetting mine. I think I did it for you.
Oh Lord, this
It's
Y'all
y'all
didn't.
cocktails and combos.
Y'all didn't. So, you're enjoying the vibe. You know, you having good conversation. You know, you seeing this dude more and more. And you know, you've already established that this person has kids. But what happens when y'all do get into that deep conversation of my baby mama can be a little crazy, da da da? Are you ready to just cut it loose?
I remember my point now. You just reminded me because no, you did.
No, you gonna answer my question first.
But mine actually relates because then it's like at that point it doesn't even really matter. It does not matter if you tell me 2 months from now I already developed feelings for you, and then you spring a crazy baby mama on me. Like, what am I supposed to do?
You already attached.
But-
You can't just walk away from
Well,
it.
that's what I'm saying.
What's the
is it-
answer then?
So what do you do?
And
So
the
what
same-
do you do?
and
That's
That's
what
why,
I'm saying. So
that's why I feel like a
And
month
the
is too
same
long to
thing
even
is
have that
crazy baby
conversation.
daddies too now. They,
yeah, you got
No,
crazy baby.
I
No,
ran
you
into a
do.
motherfucker
You do
like
got
that.
crazy baby
I'm
daddies.
not lying to you.
I don't have that.
But that's what I'm saying.
You
Like,
just
so
got crazy dudes. Period. Okay.
That I do.
Yeah.
So okay, so what's that makes me ask the question, what is the appropriate time frame? Because you string me into this. Now I done got all involved, right? We 3 months in. Well, because I feel if there's not full disclosure up front.
I mean, you're not just gonna
Well,
walk
see,
up
here's the
to somebody
thing
and
with
be like,
guys,
I
though.
got this,
We
this.
not-
I have that conversation.
I have that conversation on like date number 2. Like, so what's
Sure.
up? How many kids do you have?
Yeah.
Do you have
Those
crazy
are
baby
important
mamas? Do
questions.
you have the baby mama drama?
But, okay,
Those are those.
Well, I
I'm
never
sorry.
asked that.
I
never
do.
asked that.
I was
I do.
thinking,
No, because
look,
most people gonna lie.
I was thinking,
And then,
about-
no, she ain't no problem. She go, she
Okay.
can
And if the thing
Hold
is,
on.
if you feeling that dude, and
Okay,
that dude is
we gotta let
truly
Marlon
feeling
follow
you, I'm
up.
sorry. Go ahead.
yeah, I'm always gonna say it's always better for me to ask these questions because guys initially we ain't thinking none of that shit. It's just all about like she's
But
hot, she
who
look
is
good.
going to be honest?
But that's what he just said.
Well, it's women gotta be the ones that answer stuff. I'm being honest with you.
There
Ain't no man finna sit and ask no woman about none of that. I'm looking at you physically, who you are. That's it.
But what
No
she's
dating,
saying,
having
what
a
she's
fight.
saying is a female asking a
Right.
dude,
Right.
and the dude not being honest about it. Oh no,
Okay.
she good.
You know, they beat around the bush about stuff. I don't know, she
Yeah,
cool.
some guys can't lie, you know what I mean? But
And then when you meet her,
Now,
she
if
knocks
you
on
lie
the
about
door.
how many children
What?
you have, like you're a special
No,
kind
no,
of
no,
sucker.
not-
well,
about
that
that.
shit, yeah,
Right.
he's talking about the situation.
No,
with
we
baby
talking about
mama.
the baby mama.
Right.
Oh, if she crazy or not.
Yes.
Okay.
I think that some people, I think that even still, they don't. Well, this is a point that Tiffany made. Sometimes they don't even get crazy until they realize you are serious with somebody.
With
else.
somebody else.
Yeah.
That
That's true.
part.
Until they realize that you did move
Or
on.
usually
Which is
with
true.
a woman when
Which
you know
is
she
true.
on the
Okay.
same level that she high. Oh,
So we're
Absolutely.
harping a lot on the crazy. Let's deal with the good because there are
Okay.
some
Mhm.
blended families
Yes.
yeah.
that are happy and harmonious.
Where the girlfriends and the baby mama get along
They
great.
get along
Right.
well.
They actually
You know,
work
and
together.
it took
There
some,
are some.
There.
it may take some time, like Will and Jada. It took some time for them to get where they are.
In that
The only
situation,
reason why Jada Kiki and her with her now because she does the damn meditation and sit around the red table because she was about to snatch that woman.
Again,
she
it took
was
some.
living in that lady house.
It took some time.
I wish something happened would move in my house.
It took some time, but they all
Maybe a Trump
made
and a
they,
But I think that's just
they
like-
worked through it, right? And that's so there are some happy and harmonious families.
But no, honestly, it's the maturity level. No, honestly, it is.
It was
It's the
before
maturity
then.
level. It's the
Yeah.
maturity level. Number one, if I don't have no beef, if y'all not still fucking around or nothing, I'm good. You know what I'm saying? Because number one, you do have a lot of baby mama relationships to where they were best friends,
Mhm.
Okay, but this
and they're not going to end that relationship of their friendship over.
I don't
you
think
got
that-
a new
but they
chick.
shouldn't though. They
That's-
shouldn't. You have a
You have
whole
some that
human
keep a whole
person
relationship
involved.
as friend,
Yeah.
as friendship.
Like
a
my
bond.
parents, my parents still talk to this day, in everybody's mind.
And my
Well,
parents
yeah.
don't even talk to each other.
Well, my dad died with a picture of my mom in his wallet.
I'm sorry,
don't
I use mine
remember
for a bullet for that gun range. So
Oh, Jesus. We went to the gun range, family. It was fun.
Okay, so
Pinky
I
was
want to
wild.
hear more from like a male perspective, just on
the full general aspect.
well, the question that I have.
Give me one. Go ahead.
The question that I have is thinking just in my own experiences of dealing with men, and like I said, one of the guys most recently that I dated had 2 children that were complete nightmares. I mean, when I tell you,
Your face.
no, because I just relived it, and I
Mm.
just like I just thought about
Snack child.
these kids.
Ooh.
Girl, they were so rude. I'm like, I'm having to leave because I was like one of the people on like the pickup list. I'm having to leave my job to go get these children because they don't spit on a damn teacher.
Yeah.
Oh,
Oh, no.
so it
Right?
wasn't just bad towards you.
No,
They,
were
was just Beta's kids.
they were poorly raised.
Well,
They were poorly raised.
you
So to
And you
me,
have to snatch them
now when I
too.
tell you I will snatch a child, and I tell people,
If you don't want your
early,
child in my presence and they bad as hell, don't put them around me.
when I tell you, I really do believe in I will treat your children the same way that I treat mine.
Exactly.
And if mine gets out of line, you better believe
you
I'm
better
snatching.
not fire.
Okay.
I ain't gonna hit no kid, but I will.
Shit.
Exactly.
I will
That's
grab
my
you by the
thing.
collar.
And shake you one good time. Okay, that might
I
be
might.
viable.
Just one little shake.
Yeah, just
No,
You can't do a double shake,
girl, I had to leave. I was like, listen,
Oh.
I had to call him. I was like, listen, I'm supposed to be
Oh.
watching these children. This oldest one,
These children, not your children.
no.
these children.
These children. Okay.
Yeah, no, I never put that
Doesn't
because I accept people's kids in the way that I would want them to accept mine. So I
Right,
never
okay,
say
yeah.
like, yo,
Yeah.
kids.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
these children, because the majority of people that I've been with that do have kids, I guess the common thread there was like the mothers were such a non-presence
Mhm.
that the majority of them, like, they're coming to my house. I'm like fixing up food. We're going on adventures. I'm taking them, like, we're going on hikes, and they're living in a way that they weren't used to.
Yeah.
So then they're looking at that. It's like,
I like this lady.
Right.
they're like, who is this?
Yeah.
Like,
Ooh, I like this lady.
So then everybody's like calling me mom. Like when I tell you, I'm like the neighborhood mom. All of my son's friends, like, and I treat them the same way.
Yeah.
Oh, be a football mom. Mm-hmm.
I was a football mom.
Yeah, all the boys.
My son
Mama.
just recently started coaching. Hey, son. Love you. I'm so proud of him that he's like getting into coaching and all that jazz. But anyway, it's like these children. That was the one time in my life. And when I tell you that day that I snatched that oldest child up, I had to leave.
That was it.
I was done.
That was it.
And I never talked to him since. I couldn't go back because I'm like, your children will cause me to go to jail.
Mm.
So what did he say? Did he make any kind of correction? How did that
No.
happen?
Did he
You just
try to
like, well,
fix
see
it?
Or did you just not even give him a chance?
I didn't even give it a chance because I'm like, to me, and this might not be fair, but I'm like, the fact that your children are so poorly raised says a lot about you and your
Well, here's
character.
my question though. What kind of character this guy have? Was he the kind of guy who was like, hey, look, I'm gonna play none of that shit? Because if that's that kind of guy, them kids typically gonna be in line.
Right.
Or was he a pushover kind of guy? Like, whatever.
He wasn't
or
a-
irresponsible.
He wasn't a pushover, so.
Because you guys test men all the time.
So again,
Y'all
this was one of those
You should know.
situations, and this was one of those
Don't
situations,
poke the bear.
and it's
Don't
and
poke
it's
the bear.
and it's
Don't poke
probably
the
the
bear.
reason why I say
Oh, he
now
about to
like
get pulled.
certain time periods are too long because he told me later about these children. So we were already like involved. So then I'm like, okay, well I'm like child friendly. I can get on board with the kids,
Right.
right? But then they were fucking dumb. I'm telling you, they have to be two of the rudest, and I don't even talk about kids.
Yo, we done touched the whole nerve of her.
Family.
Yeah.
No,
Whole
because
nerve.
this is some real shit, right?
Yo.
It's like such a thing.
Mhm.
Just like, how do you navigate and manage dating somebody who has poorly raised children?
You can't.
Yeah, obviously.
I'm sorry.
Or-
I mean, I couldn't,
Yeah.
but I mean,
But
other
in
people
some
might feel
cases-
differently.
but
maybe
in some
you should
cases-
like introduce something though. Like, hey, maybe we should take some of these classes. You know.
To who?
No.
But see, here's the difference though.
Maybe
that-
not.
I
No,
ain't
no,
taking
no.
no kids that's spitting on
I know.
teachers.
Yeah.
I ain't taking them nowhere.
Oh shit.
Oh.
Okay.
I'm not.
But in some cases though, here's
You
the
know,
thing though.
They don't know no better.
She was involved with knowing their bad behavior
Mhm.
outside the relationship.
True.
You have some relationships to where the other half doesn't know what's going on with them kids
Right.
outside of the relationship, except for like when they come visit or while they're there at the house.
Not their
So
constant.
it's not like we can all say, "Oh, I couldn't deal with that," because have you been in that to where you dealt with someone with unruly children?
Well, even with
Not
our
really.
present parent.
But what's the unruly though? What we talking about? Stealing this shit?
Like she just
No,
said,
I'm
spitting on the
talking-
teachers,
Spitting on
like, all that kind of
teachers.
stuff.
disrespectful,
Burning carpets.
burning.
Yeah.
Oh,
No, those are sociopaths.
Well, no, I
Oh,
never
Those are
dated a woman like
sociopaths.
that.
They're
And that's what I'm
killing
saying.
animals.
Because like most of the women I did date, you know what I mean? Like they had other people in their family and shit like that. They kept that stuff. You know what I mean? Like they want them kids weren't just allowed to do what the fuck they want to do.
Okay, so do you think that you could date a woman who has
unruly
like
Baby
children
kids.
that are
baby kids.
like what's I mean,
I
what's,
mean, it's gonna be difficult, but I will address
You
the
would.
shit. Like I'm like, hey, look, like he doing this right here.
No,
So
But if she is
I'ma
not
talk to her.
correcting it and it's still happening,
Right.
and one of them kids even come up and smack
well,
your
okay,
ass,
then I'm gonna check whoever that is. Now it's a different check though. With a young man or a little boy, I'm hey, sit your
you
ass
have
down.
a different
somewhere.
kind of patience.
Yeah, I
And
mean,
he
but
does,
you
though.
know,
Because then I'm
that's
like,
a part of dating women that got children. I think, in a
and
sense.
too, I'm like, because then when you try to like reprimand children, then some people, like I said earlier,
Get offended.
people get offended.
Yeah, that was
And
the
I'm
question.
like, now
What-
this little baby child is not going to keep disrespecting me.
Well, the
Yeah.
question is did he ever get offended for you to discipline them?
He didn't care. He was okay with the fact
So
that
why you couldn't get that man a chance?
So we gonna talk
No,
first, like, hey,
because if
baby,
you
like,
let your
I'll-
children,
he never listen. He never
No.
he never had an issue with the fact that I disciplined his kids.
Yeah.
Just because their mother was not present at all.
Yeah.
Mm.
So that was like that whole dynamic was something that was different to him, and it was. Go ahead.
They probably acted out because she wasn't present.
And you were different.
And that's
And not
probably
You were
even-
something
They
different.
probably
in there.
acted out because she wasn't present, and so not that they were taking it out on you, obviously, but they were just taking it out on the world because they didn't know how to express those feelings,
yeah.
and they didn't know what to do.
Why would the father not intervene?
Because-
Why would you
Because
Because
that's
Different
not
from like
something.
a,
and
it's
that's
different from
the
a
thing.
father's perspective.
Yeah,
It
and but
is.
then also, a lot of us don't know how to. We're not taught those things.
Mhm.
We're not taught how to deal with the absence of a parent. You okay?
Did you try to change?
I did.
didn't like it.
Mm-mm.
She's weird about blue
She-
cheese.
yeah.
Y'all, this cheese ain't supposed to be purple.
A question for you, Evan.
But yeah, so
go
no,
to
no,
you got it.
that's what I'm just saying.
Yeah.
So when we
Oh.
got those kind of situations, a lot of us are not equipped with knowing how to navigate feelings
Mhm.
and how to tell. First of all, those children probably should have been seeing a therapist,
Yes.
For sure.
you know, because their mother isn't present. That doesn't. Let's talk
That's
about.
a detrimental.
That's
a detrimental
even more
hit there.
detrimental than a father not being there. I
Yes.
wouldn't even say more
Oh,
detrimental.
And
But,
it's more detrimental.
you
It
know,
is. It is.
It's like,
To
where
have
does
a
my
person
mother
who, like,
not love
grew
me?
you inside of them.
Does she? You know what I'm saying? So that's a whole nother level of things that we're talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You
It
know what
is.
I'm saying?
It is.
No, you're totally right. What was your question?
Well, never mind. I just kind of got the perspective of it because I didn't understand that this guy, the mom wasn't there. I thought
The
it was
mom
more or
wasn't there.
less like the kids would normally be with mom. Dad sees them every now and then.
No,
So that's
he
a
had
whole
like
nother,
full
like,
custody of his
dynamic.
children.
Well, that sounds like some
So-
Mary Poppins type shit.
Right.
You
So,
know?
and I think.
So you
She
want her to
gotta
be
get
Mary
married.
But
Really?
hold on. But this is.
Oh, yeah,
But I do
well,
think that
or,
this is such
the Sound
an
of
issue,
Music type
right?
stuff, but go ahead.
To where it's like we expect it to be like a single mama.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So when it's a single father,
Yeah.
there's not like a. They don't come. They're equipped differently. I don't think.
Yeah.
I don't think men for sure definitely not equipped to
Mhm.
in a full capacity just because you guys don't have the full range of feeling,
Mhm.
emotion, foresight, all the balance that I think
Right.
women do have. I think you guys are a little bit more ego driven and more based on like black or white, right? Like you're based on things that can be calculated of like how many, how much, how this, how that. Where women we
Or
accept
single
things.
focus. I've got work. Get out
Right.
of here.
Right. So
You know
where
what I
we
mean?
as women, I think just
We
as
put it
like
all,
but just
yeah,
as a
all
just
in
as a
one.
gender, that's kind of our natural state to be in.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
So nobody taught us to be like good at multitasking. Nobody taught us like, hey, we gonna have to figure out how to juggle
Shit, you
97 balls.
It's just
You just-
natural. It
it's
comes
just
right
expected.
on in.
But that's the place of women, and that's like the gift that we've been given.
Yeah.
Is that kind of balance.
Right.
So it's very different, and I couldn't even fault him for the fact that these kids were so poorly raised. Because I'm like, now I know the common saying is like a woman can't raise a man, and that's true.
Yes.
But a man trying to take on the role that was generally designed for women to do, he is more so not equipped to do that.
No.
Yeah.
As opposed to a woman raising a man.
Right.
Because it's been done, right? There's been plenty of single mamas that have raised successful, nice, well-spoken, good mannered men.
Tyler Perry.
Yeah.
Tyler Perry. He was raised by a
Obama.
single woman.
Right?
Obama raised by a single mom.
So when I look at it, it's just like, I don't even know how to navigate that, right? Because to me, I grew up in a very like traditional home. Mother, father, everybody worked, everybody, like we were comfortable, life was good.
So I think it's more of a evolution. It's more of that because yes, I grew up in a home, mom, dad,
Mhm.
comfortable living and everything. Right now, I'm a single mom, 2 kids, a job, a career, my business, and I make it work.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's not like I had, this type of lifestyle to look upon to say, okay, I can do this as a single mom because my mama did it as a single mom. No. I grew up my entire life having a mama and a daddy. You know what I'm saying? If I had an issue, I can go to my mama about whatever feminine things. I can go to my dad about, whatever else or crying or whatever. So it's not like I was experienced with this.
Mm-hmm.
I evolved. I figured out to where if nobody else is gonna do it, I'm gonna do it.
But see, the thing
My
is,
kids they not finna go without.
So I think that at this age that we're at now, you can almost tell people who grew up with both parents at home.
Yeah.
You can tell
Yeah.
where there's like
Their
an
emotional
influence
their
from both
emotional
sides,
minds.
right?
Mhm.
And so that's really the question that I'm asking, and I want to ask it to Marlon specifically because, as for a man's perspective, like what's the solution to that?
The solution to
Solution to what?
The solution to dealing with people who have difficult children, to where you're already involved, but you don't want to like compromise yourself. You don't want to.
Right. Well, I think the solution is anything in a relationship. I call it direct communication. This is what I need. This is what's going on. This is how I feel. And the right kind of partner that you with,
Give me that flip flop.
y'all say.
give us your plastic.
Give me that
cup,
plastic cup.
You don't have a special glass,
So-
y'all.
Were you done?
No, I wasn't.
Go ahead.
The most important thing is just direct communication. I mean, you chose that partner. Don't you want to be with a partner that can listen, communicate with that person? You know what I mean? So a person that's open-minded, have a mindset of growth, sit down and be like, I guess my damn kids are kind of a headache. You know what I mean? So like, how can we fix this? How can we make this better? Communication.
I think that's
Keep
almost
the
a rare
other
thing
shit.
for a woman to say, like, my children are a headache
Mm-hmm.
to
Yeah.
somebody outside of the family.
Exactly.
Well, yeah.
Go ahead.
The guys are about to say like,
I say my kids a headache every damn day, and I
Right.
tell everybody, them little kids get on my damn nerves.
Leave my baby alone.
I'm
Whatever.
just saying,
I
but
got teenagers.
you say that. You
yeah.
say it. Now, if
And I
someone
want to tell
else-
anybody else.
But if a man that you were dating said,
I
"Girl,
wish a
your kids a
motherfucker
fucking
would.
headache,"
I wish it was.
Exactly. That's the point. That's the point that
thank
we're
you for
making.
making the point.
That's the point.
No problem.
But the
No
one I
problem.
would like to say though. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
no, you good.
I would like to say that my one addendum to my rule of not dating men that have children is if he's a single father. If he-
So
if
really,
he-
the
if
issue
he
is
has-
baby mama drama.
Yeah, I don't want to be a part of it.
Okay.
You know, I don't like. I don't like
See, and
drama. Period.
I
So,
think that people who don't have children should date other people who don't have children.
I believe that. Too.
I believe that
I believe in
too.
being equally
Because
yoked.
they are not understanding.
Absolutely.
They're not understanding of okay, we got to end this date.
I'm
My child is sick.
I
You know what I'm
believe
saying?
that.
We got to
I'm
end
a
this.
single dude, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I've done that before.
But you enjoy it.
You're different. You
You
just
don't
said
mind.
you've been dating
Right.
women
You
with
also
kids
made
since
a point,
18.
made it to a point that you said that you don't mind not having children, right? If you're with a woman that has
Well, I would
children.
be open to it, okay with that, yeah. I'm not some burning desire where I'm like, I have to have my own
See, and
body.
that's my thing.
And see,
It's
and
more or
that's,
less like, no, it's cool.
that's another standpoint as well, because if I date someone
Mhm.
who has children,
Mhm.
he may not want any more children.
True, that's true.
I have not born my own children. I would like to.
Right.
So
I said
I'm not
that.
gonna.
Bore my own children.
Bore.
Bore my own Bore my own children.
You got you though. You ready for
I get it, though. I get it.
I
I
get
get
it.
it. Because you want to go through that experience.
You know what I'm saying? So I'm not at that point where I'm
Yeah.
like, it's null and void for me,
Right.
and it's okay for me to just accept your children. No, I want to have children of my
Yeah.
own.
I'll
So,
drop a 17-year-old at your door.
no, I
You'll
said
change
my
your
own.
mind.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My own.
And I think that was the reason until recently, I would say within maybe the last like year of my life, that I was even open to like dating men who did have children. Just because I don't want to be your resentment 5 years from now
Mhm.
when you wanted a child. But
Yeah.
then again, you know, for men it's like they can have children like further in life.
But
me,
wouldn't
I'm
that
like,
be
I'm
established in the
almost 40.
beginning? But wait a minute, wouldn't that be established in the very beginning? Like,
Not
Not
always.
always.
No, we
You don't
don't
always
talk about
have
that.
those.
I'm
you don't
sorry,
always
we're
We
gonna
have
can't
have
those
have no
conversations.
conversation.
I'm gonna ask you. So are you
So
open to
you're
having
asking
kids?
those questions on
Day
the first
one?
date?
Yeah,
Yeah.
no.
Exactly.
Like I just said earlier, like maybe date 2, maybe date 3 after
Well,
we've gotten to
that's
know
fine.
each other more.
That's fine.
Date 2 or
Date
3,
2 and 3 is still a little
that's
early.
early.
All right. Okay. Some women are
We
like,
old.
hey, look. I ain't got
And that's
time.
the thing. So
We all,
that's
Right.
the point though.
I'm
Well,
gonna put
we're
it all
still
out there,
talking about
like I just said. Like why
Family
play
Right.
the games? Are you wanting to sit here and play the
Families.
oh we friends,
Yeah.
we're dating friends whatever for 4 or 5 years, or do you what do you want?
Not 4 or 5 years.
Well,
but-
you know I'm exaggerating, but
Right.
what I'm saying is, what do you want? Are you gonna sit here and play this game for months on months
Yeah.
before y'all finally? This is what I want. This is what I want to do. This is where I want to go.
That's where I find a lot of this stuff on dating apps because a lot of women are like that. Like, hey,
I'm about to drink the wine.
this is stuff that I see on dating apps.
She ready now. She
Look,
ready.
They straight up real about like, hey, I don't want no kids. I want more kids. I want a family, and you have to be like that. I mean,
You have people
in
that
that
are
case,
willing
yeah.
to put that out there.
Dating apps. I think those are just.
Yeah.
I did the dating apps and I can't do it anymore. I always come across
I
cycles.
would
I come across
See,
cycles.
But at least in their particular profile, because it's dating app, they say that real shit though. You know what I'm saying?
But even
And so you
without
have
no
the
no no,
choice to
even
like them.
without the dating apps, you have people who are real that will
Up
tell
front,
you
yeah.
up front, like, look, I'm not looking for no relationship.
Yeah,
But what happens when that changes though?
it can change.
It
I
can
know.
And
change.
that does
It
change.
can change, but that's
Yeah.
where you take it day by day. Okay, you're not looking for a relationship, no problem. Don't get mad because
When my thing is still the same.
exactly.
Mhm.
And that's what I'm
6
saying.
years
That's
ago.
where you may have to remind that person, like, look, when we first met, this is what you said, X, Y, Z.
But
Now, if that's the problem,
we
then
have
we can
to-
part ways and ain't no hard feelings.
But see, and that's the thing. So now here what you've done is given this person your time, right? For 4 or 5 years, people have the room to grow.
Which is very
And
true,
change
and that's what.
and people have the room and the
People
right
change their minds
to
all the
change
time.
their mind.
Which is very true, and that's what I'm saying is be open, communicate. Don't be afraid to
But
say,
even
look,
if
this is
you
what
are
I
open
want,
and
this is
you
what I
are
don't want.
communicating, even if you are open and you are communicating, you still have the right and you still have room to change your mind and change how you feel.
Which is very true. And the
Because-
same instance on you when you say you prefer not to date men with children.
Right. But I do.
You can sit here and get involved with a dude, have a good vibe, laugh, talk,
Right.
everything. You start out as friends. He got kids. And then y'all spend more time and then you see him more than a friend.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm saying.
That's
So
what I'm
it works in the same instance. Yes, I
It's
get
really
that.
like the same point though.
It
to
is.
Where it's like
It's the
And
same
I feel like
thing.
it's like
It's not
dudes that say the
just
same thing. Man, I ain't finna date them till they got 5 kids and all that shit. Yeah, you hang on that fucking lady for a while, excuse my language, and you get attached to her. You like, damn, you know. You know, little man, let's go play the basketball real quick. Let's hang out.
Said
love
he
coach.
keep shouting you out. He said, Joe.
Hey,
Because
Said he.
at the end of the day, when you love that woman, you gonna love them kids.
Feeling change
It's just
every
that.
My
day.
drink is done, y'all.
All right.
All right, let's
So
try
our
this
wine
one.
today, wrapping it up, head to head, Tuscan Red Blend.
Head to
Head to
head.
head. I like
Hey, look at the
We
label,
do-
y'all.
we
Y'all,
did
y'all,
have a
wait.
lot of
Do y'all see the
comments.
label?
Huh? Go
Did
ahead.
have a lot of comments.
Okay.
So,
Yeah, what a comic stuff.
well, first we shout Seti P out. Hey,
Seti.
Seti P. He
What
says,
up, Roman?
feelings change every day, B. I'm glad you said it like I would say it.
Mhm.
Thank you, I appreciate it. Keon, he asks, if someone without kids, and we're gonna answer these questions and then we're gonna move on to the next one.
Okay.
So if someone without kids is attracted to someone who has kids and are okay with it, should they move on and risk of not experiencing a good love?
Okay, repeat that question.
If someone without kids is attracted to someone who has kids and they're okay with it, okay with that person having kids,
Right.
should they move on and the risk of not experiencing a good love? Meaning, should they not deal with
That because they have
Yeah.
children when they could have really like loved this person
right?
and like missing out on like an actual
No,
human life.
I don't think you
No.
should. I think I think, like I said in the beginning, when I did mention what I said about how I feel about, I said that there are going to be different variables and different things that are going to change the situation. So every situation is not going to be quite the same.
Right. Correct.
Do y'all think a woman can raise a boy to be the man that a woman needs in general?
Yes.
I don't
Yes.
think so.
I-
Maybe
So,
possibly.
okay.
Okay, go ahead.
I'm gonna say this.
Go
because I
ahead.
feel
What are
like-
your views?
I don't think that's right. I think you have to have that masculine vibe in that family. You have to have that man there.
Tyler Perry
Teach
didn't.
that son. Yeah, but he may have had other male influences in his life too, though.
But that's not what the question is, though.
I mean, the question is, can a woman? I'm talking about solely by herself,
This
no
is
other
his
input,
opinion.
no other
Yeah,
input. I'm
it's
talking
very
about
much
just
his
straight a
opinion.
woman by herself. I don't really think that's the case, though. To be honest,
So
and I'm not saying nothing effective against women or anything like that, but I think something about having that man there in order to talk to that son and say, "Hey, son, you fucked up." I don't have to yell at you and be like, no, we don't hear that.
Right.
We're gonna be like direct. Hey, you fucked up. Go to your room. We'll talk later. You have to have that, and I'm not moving off that. I'm not gonna be like, all right, I beat your ass, and I feel bad for you, and all that kind of shit. Cause my mom did that. It's just about being that man, and I'm gonna show you, son. Okay, go to your room. We cool now. This is what you did. Not emotional. We ain't bickering. We ain't arguing. All right, we're good.
okay. So I do think that it's always ideal to have that balance.
Yeah.
But just over the course of history of humanity, it's generally been the woman who actually raises children.
Yeah.
Now you talk to, I would even dare to say the majority of men. You talk to them about their relationship with their fathers, and it's almost like the general concept is like, daddy came home and he was grouchy from work, so we all just like ran to our room, right? We just all, so it was like, yes, he was there, and yes, he was a provider, but how much of that actually framed you as a
was just in
human?
the right order. That's what it really is.
So where it's like, you get the directness from this, but just over the course of history, women have historically raised successful men to be men that we would want them to be for our
us.
daughters, for ourselves, for that. So even when I hear, and it's normally men that say like, oh, women can't raise a man, but it's like,
Did
it's
you
been
have your
done.
father?
But it's been done. So I think that's one of those old, like, I don't think there's ever a replacement for a father. Let me just say that. I don't think there's a replacement. I think that it is such a valuable thing. But as it comes down to it, even if you want to break down just like general nature of a man, which is for a different conversation, a different day, about how they're like, you want to use the example of like animalness when it comes to monogamy. It's like, oh, what other animals are monogamous? What other mammals are monogamous?
Yeah.
But then you want to use it as like, the majority of fathers in the animal kingdom are not present. right? So it's like I feel like you can't really pick and choose about, yes, the father's important here when I can shape it to do some shit that I want to do.
But my thing is, you said that point about historically, and I mean, we look in times right now, maybe back in the 1960s and shit, that at least in American modern culture, that yeah, we had this situation where more women raising children
Even before that.
by themselves. But how can we say before that though? Because I know families, even in the slavery times, that man was there with his
Even
kids and
hunting.
stuff.
Even
No,
hunting.
no,
Let's
no.
talk about we're gonna break it down.
Okay,
I mean,
so
you
if
can
we
go
go
all the way
back-
back to like
wait.
hunter-gatherer
We're-
days.
Okay,
right?
so we're
Like,
But
going
those
back.
guys were still there though. It was just that
No.
it was out the war. But
They
it
were
was
off to
still
war or off
in
hunting
that
for months
family.
at a time.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
So,
But them kids knew the president and that father when he got there.
but all
Like,
that.
that's not what I'm saying though.
But no, wait a
So
minute.
we're talking about raising a boy to be a man.
that you would want for your daughter.
Okay, well, true.
That you
He
would want
needs to
for-
have that feminine
yeah.
presence to know how to treat a fucking woman. I agree with that, but I'm saying that, like, I don't know. I don't really agree with the whole hysterical thing. We got to sit back and look at the research on that. But I
Now,
don't
if
believe
you
that's the
look
case.
it now, okay, I will agree on him.
You can't look at that. I
A
can't.
woman solely
Mm-hmm.
is not and has not raised a boy to be a man, because in every situation, and anybody who's listening, correct me if I'm wrong. Every situation, you either have a brother,
Yeah.
No,
an
you're totally
uncle,
Uncle,
a
pastor,
father, a pastor, some
coach.
football coach, a
some
police
male.
officer, somebody, some male figure
But
that
those
has
are-
touched
We're
something.
talking about, okay, so from my perspective on this is we're talking about temporary moments of where you're getting this male energy,
Right.
as opposed to
Consistent.
every day,
Having
all
that
day of your life, because I can guarantee you, as sure as fucking shit stinks, right? Like, that you talk to any person, which no, their relationship with their mother is 9 out of 10 different than their relationship with their father.
Very
Like,
true.
you can talk shit about somebody's daddy all goddamn day, but you mention
You
any-
mentioned
anybody
their
from my
mama, it's a problem. So
It's
very,
going down.
which I very truly, 100% all day agree. Because a woman is going to teach a man emotion. You know what I'm saying? Physical, emotion.
Not always.
Why isn't it always? Because
Not always.
what I see,
Shit,
what
see
I
some
see
bad
it is as
moms.
Okay,
not the mama.
That's a different
But-
conversation.
Not them mama.
That's
because
a
we got
conversation that
We can't
that
make a
look.
blanket
Yeah.
statement and just use like a Tupac analogy to a mama, because there's not a lot of women like there that's strong as hell like that. They're not like her. Whereas like she put her kids and educated them, and you know what I'm saying, that real kind of mama. We can't make that thing. I seen women out here like, bitch, you ain't shit. You can't have that fucking title of like, you know, I work hard, I work 2 jobs to put food on the table for my son. Not everybody's like that. I seen
And
all
you
the
are
sides.
right. And I do want to make a point to say, like, even with you saying, okay, you have brothers, uncles, distant male figures in the lives. Shit, I can be honest with you and tell you that none of the men in my family did a damn thing for
Yeah.
any other man in my family to raise any of the
Right.
men that was under them. Okay,
Okay.
so not one of them.
Well,
And
I,
that's from, and when I say not one, I'm saying from my grandmother's brothers
Yeah.
okay, and again,
to my
that's,
mother's brothers
that's based off
to
experience.
my brother.
It's based off experience. You know, all of us were raised differently. Okay, I was raised. My dad was a preacher, so I grew up in the church.
Right.
You always had those church member figures
Mhm.
all the way around. But again, I didn't grow up in a single household.
Right.
Me being a single mother, I have many brothers that if I need to call them up, come get this little
Yeah,
boy.
my uncle.
You know what I'm saying? A
Come
uncle.
through, like,
Or,
alright,
or
shit, we
I
straight.
had, like when my son was young and he started acting out because of a divorce, I literally was contemplating on sending him to like a boot camp or something.
Yeah.
That boy literally, I got a call every day from the school to where I finally said, you know what? Everybody kept telling me, put him in football.
Yeah.
I put his
That
ass
was
in.
the saving grace for my son.
That was saving
That
grace.
shit-
I
yeah,
put
you
him
know
in
why?
football, and I promise you, that first week, oh, he crying.
Yeah.
But
Mom,
I
I don't want to come off this field unless you dead, dying,
Yeah.
you know, hurt, bleeding out. Stay on that field.
You know
Okay.
why?
Cause them coaches, they got his ass.
And I'm gonna
That
know
I
this.
couldn't do.
I'm gonna
okay,
say
go
this by a
ahead. 'Cause
quote
then we
real
gotta
quick.
like wrap this up.
Yeah, I'm gonna
Yep.
say this by a quote though, because I learned this stuff about it. What builds masculine energy is fucking trials and hurt and pain, but getting through the shit. Just like with football, 3 a day fucking practice and stuff. Coach said, no, you ain't get out the field, we finna go. That builds that masculine energy and that leadership and that kind of shit. Going through trials and tribulations. That's what, you know, a man has to have. He has to go through that shit. And by being around a man like that check his ass when you fuck up, that builds that. Like I said, I think you have to have that man there.
I agree with needing male presence because, like I said, there is no replacement for that. But I do think that that should not be the leading conversation because it almost comes across like disrespectful to the women that have done it.
Yeah, I get you.
Right?
I get you.
It borders the line of disrespecting that woman and then also disrespecting her child. Right? Because even right now, there's men that I talk to that's like, oh, you need to be doing this, and I'm like, just because. Listen, I got a call one day from a man who barely knew me, and he told me what he felt like I should have been doing with my grown son. And I said, you know what? Just because you didn't have the opportunity to not have to rush out here into the world, the fact that you're 45 and struggling, my son doesn't have to take that route. Because I ain't rushing to kick him out.
Right.
We kick people. No. Final thoughts, Marlon.
Final thoughts.
Go.
Nah, it was a good combo. You know, like I said, in this day and age, you're gonna meet women that got children. It's all about the man's disposition. You love that woman, I think you love the kids too. And if you just in general love children, I think women should do a better job about testing these guys early, like Sid mentioned about asking questions up front. You know what I'm saying? And get to know them. And you kind of go from there, you know. And everybody's different. Just like Nakia, you know, I don't want to date a dude that, you know, that kid because the baby mama issue. You never know if they got to put that shit in right order, put them boundaries in place. You never know. There's so many people out here in this world. You know, we haven't met everybody. We just met the experiences that we have had. And a lot of times, not even that many. Like 4, 3, 5, you know, 6. Keep going, keep pushing, keep an open mind.
I like that.
Saying that to the people.
Yeah, keep an open mind.
Alright, hey family. You know how I feel about love winning.
She got quiet for a long time.
I am. I'm in my own little world today, y'all, so just don't pay me no mind. But I am a big factor with love wins. You can't help who you love, and you can't help who loves you back. Children are just like sponges. They absorb everything that you go through, regardless if they see it or not, good, bad, or indifferent. So just, you know, guard your heart, guard your kids. Make sure whoever it is that's around you is definitely worth the trial and the tribulation, but that they add value, that they're not a liability, they're an asset. All right, family? Sis, Ty, and Nikki.
Well, I would like to say she got kids. Yes, she does. At the end of the day, it's all circumstantial, and it's based upon what you feel is right in your heart and in your soul. So do what's right for you. You know, no one can pressure you to do something that's not good for you. And when you do stuff that isn't good for you and that doesn't sit right with you, that's when your world tends to fuck up. So stand 10 toes down on whatever you believe in, and I'll just leave it at that.
Come on,
So
Sissy. Come on, double dutch, jump in.
My final words will go based off my experiences. Don't have a revolving door when you have kids involved. Women, men too. Don't have a revolving door. Children, again, like sponges, clay. You know, you're molding them into a different future. So, you know, if you don't want to have the inconsistency in life, don't put that on them. Don't raise them to experience the inconsistencies. Be careful who you bring in. Yes, she got kids. If you got kids and you love those kids, be careful on who you bring in. You know, do a screening, do a background, be the FBI, do whatever you gotta do. But don't be so quick off of your feelings to bring someone in, because it may not be good for your children.
Okay. My final words are. No, I just say that, quick little story before actual final words. I had a person tell me that really I messed up by not dating when my son was young, because now I'm at like a different age in my life and things are just different, and you know, life is what life is, which is true. Because I'm like, at this point, dating pool gets smaller, people are married, people, you know what I mean?
Right.
So the only thing that I can say is just don't live life with regret.
Really.
Just
Ending.
we got plastic cups.
Wow.
So that's all I can say is just don't live life with regret. I think do whatever is best for you, do whatever makes you happy, and fucking love the people that you're around.
Yeah.
All right, y'all. Till next week. Bye.
Bye, guys.
Lord, I didn't even realize this was two faces on this bottle. Not until she said it. I didn't.
I'm leaving you live.